Welcome to City Council Spotlight. I'm your host, Heather Armstrong. Joining us today is the mayor, Kelly McDowell. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be back.
CNN did a piece on our town, calling us the smallest town with the most Fortune 500 companies.
Which is all true, and it was great publicity. It is a reflection of the campaign that we've had going ever since we won the Most Business-Friendly City in Los Angeles County Award back in the autumn of 2006. Which has been a really useful recruiting tool. Bill Crow and his staff, the assistant city manager, have, and the consultants from outside that we use for the website and graphics, have done a bang-up job on recruiting companies. By example, the first foreign defense contractor to set up their U.S. headquarters in El Segundo is now in town, ComDev USA. Frank Gehry Architects are now in town, having moved their headquarters from the city of Los Angeles. And I think that represents a real shift in some of the focus of our industries. We've always had a creative component here because we've had Mattel, and little graphics shops and things like that have sprung up, along with some motion picture and TV production work. But this represents a real coup for the city. We're very, very proud of it. I talked about it at my State of the City address, and it fits nicely with some other developments. Otis College of Art and Design, by example, now has a studio here for their graduate students and has moved all of their administrative offices here, and is also looking at other property because they're bursting at the seams in their Los Angeles campus, and we would love to have them here. El Segundo would have a college. They're one of only 2 schools in the whole country that offer degrees in toy design, for obvious reasons.
Wow.
So business is booming despite the uncertain economy, and we're really happy.
That's actually what I was going to move to next. The state of the economy right now, how is it affecting our city?
Well, so far, we're keeping our fingers crossed. It really hasn't. The vacancy rate in the office buildings continues to drop. The industrial vacancy rate is near 0. Office vacancy rate's about 11%. And new companies keep moving into town, and ones I just mentioned, and many others as well. El Segundo residents seem to be faring okay. Downtown businesses, which would reflect that in part, are doing all right, and surprisingly, the residential real estate market's doing okay. Last I checked, compared to other cities, and foreclosures are dramatically rising all over the country. El Segundo had 9 houses in the process of foreclosure, which is too many, but still an incredibly low number. So we're doing fine at the moment. We are obviously concerned about the economy because a nationwide recession would affect El Segundo. We're in very good shape financially, though. We have reserves of over $50 million, which is about the size of our general fund budget for a year, which is a lot higher proportion than almost any other city can claim. But we are going to be very cautious in our spending, both capital and operational spending, until things settle out and we know what the future looks like better.
What about Douglas Street? The last time we spoke, it was just starting.
The Douglas Street gap closure project is finished, he said with a sigh of relief. $40 million and nearly 20 years from inception, it's finally complete. The first federal earmark for money for that project occurred in 1989, and it's been a struggle in a sense ever since. A lot of federal projects are hard to administer. This one was too. We did, the staff especially did, I think, a yeoman's job in terms of continuing to push it ahead. And it is now open, and you can now travel from Rosecrans all the way to Imperial on Douglas. And in a month or so, if not sooner, we will be able to travel 2 ways on Douglas Street, all the way from Imperial to and from Rosecrans, and the same on Nash for the length of it, which will be a huge improvement also. That's been an annoying one-way couplet for years.
Okay, let's move over to kind of what I call one of our hot topics. LAX is always an issue. Where are we?
LAX has kicked off the environmental review process for a number of projects. The Midfield Satellite Terminal, additional gates at the Tom Bradley Terminal, subject to the limitation of our litigation settlement agreement, and most significantly, improvements to the North Runway Complex. Excuse me. The North Runway complex has drawn a lot of controversy because Westchester residents and those in Playa del Rey, at least some of them, are objecting to moving the northernmost runway any closer to their residential area. Even though, in our opinion, it wouldn't increase the impacts on them, sound or air pollution. We are the closest neighbors to LAX and a lot closer than they are. And we don't wish any adverse impacts on them, but it's a necessary safety improvement up there. We, jointly with the City of Englewood, have offered a compromise proposal to move the northernmost runway 100 feet north and build a centerline taxiway between the two runways up there. Very similar to the South Airfield Improvement Project that's in the process of being completed and will be completed probably by the end of June on our side of the airport. LAX leads the nation in runway incursions, and it's important to remember that the greatest disaster in aviation history happened on the ground when two aircraft ran into each other. So it's important to get these centerline taxiways completed and the runways separated by distances sufficient to increase the safety margin and make sure that that is something that doesn't ever happen at LAX.
Okay. You brought up disasters, and I know that we spoke at great length about the CERT response team. How is that going? Are people signing up?
It's going great. CERT recruitment is up, and not just from residents, but from business as well, which is important because our most likely disaster, if any, in El Segundo would be an earthquake. We're in a seismically active zone, and the whole West Coast has been very active seismically lately. The Disaster Council meets once a month and reports its progress to the City Council. At the Richmond Street Fair this year, we'll have an associated disaster preparedness expo, similar to the ones that Torrance has recently put on. They've done a fabulous job and are helping us plan ours so that people have an opportunity not only to see how to prepare for a disaster, but also to purchase disaster supplies and equipment and food and the containers and so forth to store them in right there on site. It's important that we be very self-reliant because we could have to be self-reliant for periods of up to 2 weeks. UCLA estimates that in a major earthquake, there could be as many as 750,000 homeless people in the county of Los Angeles. The Red Cross says it can take care of 20,000 of them. And that means that we've got to be very, very self-reliant, as we always are.
You know, you've said before, if you've prepared for an earthquake, you've got all the other disasters covered. Tell people again, if they just don't seem to understand the importance of this.
Call our fire department if you have any questions, but putting away a 2-week supply of food and water, along with emergency medical supplies, a supply of your prescription medicines, a smaller, more portable set of equipment, food and water for your car, if you happen to be in your car when an earthquake hits, is also a necessity, along with an extra pair of shoes, sunblock, extra pair of sunglasses, a hat, I mean, all sorts of things. And we're happy to provide advice on how to do that. And also direct people to suppliers of that sort of thing that can outfit them at reasonable cost pretty easily. But it's extremely important because we could be cut off for a period of up to 2 weeks.
Yeah. Are you still pushing people to put together their kit?
Yes. Get your disaster preparedness kit put together. Sign up and volunteer for the CERT program. Call the fire department to do that. They'd love to have you. It's fun. Everybody who's gone through it, including a number of city employees, have really enjoyed it. You'll learn how to fight fires, perform advanced first aid, extract people from confined spaces, all sorts of stuff that average people don't learn even in basic first aid courses. The Super CPR Saturday is also an important element. It's a May 31st event for residents and non-residents alike to learn life-saving CPR for one very good reason. If you ever have to use it, it is almost certain that you will be using it to save the life of a family member, a close friend, or an associate at work with whom you spend a great deal of time.